Alright.
How you do that, girl? Ooh,
This wasn't
do
planned.
that, girl?
I wasn't.
Hey, no, man,
I ain't funky and shit, bro.
Oh, bro, no, you ain't gotta be. You ain't gotta be,
Bro, I
man.
can't-
Just be you, man.
I'm just black. I got 3 legs. I mean, that's all. I can't dance either.
Yo, welcome to Aftershock Reviews. Your place for the best extreme music
Yes, sir.
reviews. And just because we say extreme music reviews doesn't mean it always has to be metal. Doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to be some sort of dope, edgy rock album. It can also be dope hip hop that is extremely good.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we go into the album that we're going to talk about today, I need to introduce these two. But before I introduce these two, I still need to shout out my mans with the master plan, 100 grand. Only you, and you knows how much I love this guy, man. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff. And then on my left and my right, I'll let them introduce themselves. Start with my boy right here.
Me? I start?
Yeah, you,
Oh,
man.
shit. I just sell records. I sit in here and get lonely, listen to music. That's all I do, bro.
Man, but what's your name though? Where
My name's
are
Tim.
we, man? Okay.
We in Villa Rica.
Heck yes.
B&T Music. I might have been here once or twice. Just a couple times.
Just a couple of times. You mean you don't work here? You know, you don't own the store. You don't own the deed.
None of that.
You don't none of that. Okay.
I don't do none of that.
Okay,
I
yeah,
just-
okay.
I'm great at promo, if you couldn't tell.
Right.
But on this side,
Hey man.
who is this?
Hey man, I'm just some dude.
Who is this?
Sitting in a chair. No, I'm just playing, y'all. What's up,
Yeah.
Aftershock?
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jay Burritos. I've heard that I'm backed by popular demand. You know what I'm saying?
I called it.
You know what I'm saying?
We met 3 minutes ago. I didn't even notice you were Jay Burritos. Well, I know who you are already. Bro.
Yeah, me and Tim just met today.
I didn't even know. 3 minutes ago. You got different color hair and shit.
I'm a totally different dude. I look totally different. But you know me, if you've been on Aftershock Reviews, Jesus is King. If you've seen that review, Top 10 2019. If you're familiar with an old what's the name of that thing? It's like a radio broadcast.
I've never heard of it before. You know what I'm
I know what it is. I know what it is.
What's it
I
called?
finally got it. I think I finally remembered.
Okay.
It is Runaway Jukebox, bro.
Your favorite music podcast. You know what it is. If you know me from any of those things, I'm here and I'm glad to be joined by my best friend and my homeboy here on Aftershock Reviews. You know,
See, this the
doing
squad
the thing,
right here,
hanging
bro.
out with Tim,
This
you
the
know.
squad right
You
here,
feel me?
man.
I'm the
You
awkward one. I
feel
just sit here
me?
and shit.
Ah, man, stop. See,
6 feet.
listen,
You're being
listen.
too modest. You're being too
I
humble.
don't appreciate
This is
this,
Aftershock
man.
Reviews,
He's underselling
son.
his awesomeness, man.
I'm just hearing the music shot. This is your spot.
Right.
Thank you for letting us
Talk
shoot
my
here.
shit.
Thank
you.
Talk my shit.
We're talking for you. Okay,
There
you
you
know
go,
what?
bro. You
Run
got
this
it.
shit.
You got
Run
it.
this.
You got it.
So, my man's Tim owns the place that we're shooting at today. The name of this place is called B&T Music. Why is this place so dope? Because it has a plethora of different genres that you can choose from. Great R&B, great jazz, great hip hop, great metal, great rock, anything that you want, from Led Zeppelin to the Beatles, to Kiss, to Full of Hell, to Witch Vomit, to Tupac, to Warrant, to anything that you would ever want will be in this place at good prices, so you don't have to necessarily deal with inflation or people trying to scam you for music. Questions, what's up?
Is Witch Vomit an actual band?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can pull out the record too. I got it over there.
Okay, I'm ignorant, you know me. You bring me on for the hip hop stuff.
Right. See, and he segues right
crazy
really
name.
nice into it, right? Because at the end of the day, what are we here for? Why did Tim allow us to share his space with him real quick? Where we wanted to talk about the brand new album from Isaiah Rashad called The House is Burning. Matt, I don't know where you're gonna fit that album artwork, but like I'm trusting you, dude.
Just put it over me.
Put it right over his face.
Don't do that.
Put it
Put
right
over,
on Nick.
put it over my face. We want these.
Right.
We want people to be able to see these pretty faces.
That cover is so nice, bro. Just put it here.
But that's what we're here to talk about, man. Like, I've been an Isaiah Rashad fan for a minute, and now I get a chance to give you a little bit of backstory why that is. I became an Isaiah Rashad fan because of this guy. This is the thing I didn't tell you in the car.
I was about to say,
This is the thing I didn't tell you in the car. Because at the end of the day, and this is a backstory for you as well, he started Runaway Jukebox. That was really his baby.
Yeah.
And one of the reviews that he really wanted to do was Sylvia Demo, right?
Yeah.
But we ended up doing the Sun's
like
Tirade. There it is.
Right.
And at that point, him and our friend David, they were singing a song called Brad Jordan. I'm like, what is that? I had never heard Brad Jordan before. What is this? And I'm hearing two dope boys in a busted ass running. OPM mode. I was like, what is this? What is this? So I go back, because me at this point, I'm like, I want to fit in. I want to do it because everybody else is doing it. So I go back and listen to the song. I'm like, yo, who is this dude? And then I listen to the Sun's Tirade. I'm like,
yeah.
did I just find
Tirade was
my guy?
Tirade was some special shit.
Oh, dude.
That was a moment.
That
People always talk about the Kendrick takeover and everything. Look, everybody loves Kendrick. I love Kendrick. Everybody, Tibet Butterfly, you got it, bro. You made that. You're never going to fail.
Right. You got your
Shout out Chance.
Damn,
right.
You know?
Shout out Chance.
Yeah.
But like, Zay really had that pocket. He just had that certain, and it's so weird to do from Tennessee. He does not fit in with Tennessee at all. Like, if you ever been to Nashville, you ever been to Tennessee, you know, everything up there is fucking country. Everything. They worship country up there. Country and Elvis. That's all they give a shit about.
I think
And that dude just fits in perfect.
Yeah.
With the whole West Coast scene. It's so crazy.
Well, honestly, I think he kind of carves out his own lane. You know,
Yeah.
he has his own. He has the advantage of just being the everyday guy.
Yeah.
You know, I
Right.
think that vibe comes through in his music.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit in the car, and kind of picking up on what you're saying now. Like he fits into the hip hop scene, but he's also like making his own space.
Yeah.
You know, telling his own story, and it's just something. It's a lot more of like just the common man's vibe. And
Yeah.
that's why I think like most people can just
'Cause
like,
he's just so
Isaiah
relaxed.
Rashad is an instant like, oh,
Yeah.
like you
He's
either
just
like
so
him or you don't, but
relaxed,
most people
bro.
like him.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
He's so fucking relaxed.
He just be
It's
chilling.
unreal.
He just be, and this album is chill.
Yeah. Very.
And
Go ahead.
with
My bad.
that, we're
Yep.
going to go right into the track listing. How about that? So, matter of fact, we're going to switch it up a little bit, right? So, instead of going into the track listing, because we'll probably be here for like 2 hours and everything
Yeah,
else like that,
yeah.
we'll just go through an overall view of what we think of the album.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and start first. I think that this is probably going to be top 3 albums for me from this year. I absolutely love this album, right? It's ever since I heard Lay With You, right? Because I was late from 200 and Warning.
Yeah.
Like, I have heard it in passing, but I was just like, this is amazing. And then I heard Lay With You as one of the singles. I was like, no.
Yeah, I think Lay With You came out first, if I remember right.
I'm pretty sure it did.
I think Lay With You came out, and
But 200 Warren wasn't a single on the album. and I
it's
think-
not.
Yeah,
and that's what
that
I'm.
weirded me out.
That's what I'm talking about. Because
Yeah, I
also, Running is not on the album.
Nope.
either.
Yeah.
Nope.
God, Run is dope.
Yo, Running is amazing, dude.
Running is so good.
That was one of those situations where I was kind of like, especially after what was it, Crash Talk. Schoolboy
Yep.
Q needed a really dope single, and Running was that for him because
Yeah.
at some point, like Crash Talk did have its singles that I thought were really good, like
Num Num
Water,
Juice.
Num Num Juice was really
Num
good.
Num Juice slaps.
You know what I mean?
That-
5200, like he had his songs, but as a overall
project,
piece,
nah.
it was not that great. Like at first, I loved it, but then I kept listening to it. I'm like, it's not as good as I think it is. You know what I mean? It like aged like milk in the sun.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
for me, I would have hoped that they kept running on here, but getting back to the overarching idea of the album, at least the way that I look at it, I really enjoy this album from so many different levels because yet again, it's showing growth, not just sonically, but also of a man's psyche as well, right?
Yep.
And for me, it's a situation where you start looking at what Isaiah Rashad used to go through a lot when it comes to like drug use, right? Or what he used to come through with alcoholism and stuff like that, right? Especially when you go into the video for Headshots and stuff like that. You start to see a man come to grips with everything that's going wrong in his life. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only is he coming to grips with that, I think he's done wrestling with it, but instead he's letting it be where it is. He's letting those things go up in smoke and then walking away from it. For me, that's what it feels like, especially when you go back and you listen to the album closer, HB2U.
Yeah.
The opening skit for that song is him talking to him. I don't know if that's his cousin. I don't know if that's his nephew.
Might be his son.
Right? Might be his
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's been so
the end-
long, he could have probably got something.
And he was just like, the son asked him, he was just like, is there a heaven? And he says, yeah. And he says, how do you know that? He says,
You don't.
You don't. That also, to me, feels like there's hope at the end of this album, too, right? Because, yes, he's come to grips with this stuff. He's come to grips with the fact that, okay, this is on fire over here, this is on fire over here. Like, I'm still not maybe where I would like to be in a personal standpoint, right? But I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And not only am I going to get there, like, there might not necessarily be any proof to show that, but I have faith and I have hope that I'll get there. Which also
Faith is the word.
right? Because like at the end of the track, because remember HB2U is two different sides. You see what I mean? Because at the end he's like, this isn't as hard as it gets, but I'm still on drugs. Just had a weekend buzz. I have hope that I'll get better. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? You see, and the album
yeah.
is touching on so many different aspects to kind of lend itself to that narrative, right? Because yes, there's still a lot of shtick talk in there. There's still a lot of talk of women and stuff like that, right? So it has that dope Memphis vibe to it, the Pimp C stuff on Chad. Oh my gosh, right? I'm just saying, the Pastor Troy
Project
stuff.
Pat
The Project Pat, there it is. Oh my lord, dude. Man,
That
you
sample
know
was
what's
nice.
going. You got
That sample,
cheese, I got
that's
dope.
yeah.
Look, it's all there. The album is fragmented, and I think it's fragmented as like a reflection of his psyche, and it's also fragmented as a reflection of how he actually assembled the album. Because if you look at any of the interviews he did with Complex or anything else like that, he'll tell you multiple times, like he'll be riding in the car with a pencil and pad, and something will catch his eye, right? Like a billboard or something else like that, and then that'll find itself into the lyrical content. That's not a traditional way of writing. That's a very scatterbrained, a very fragmented way of constructing a song. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's somehow managed to take all of that in, his surroundings in, and weave that into some sort of narrative, and then have a hopeful but almost grounded conclusion at the end, it makes the album, it's so broken that it's consistent. And I love it. It's so
I ain't gonna be able to
church
stop
right
that.
now. I'm like,
I
no,
loved it.
it's not
I ain't gonna be
even.
able to stop that.
We're supposed to add to that.
I'm just saying.
We're supposed to add to what you just said.
I'm just saying, you get your own take.
Yeah,
This
that's how I
man just
feel.
gave a speech.
Yo, I mean, I don't know what else I can add to what you said, because so you hit on so many of the points. That I'm like, okay. I really enjoy this album. I love Sylvia Demo, as I mean, he told you I was a big fan in 2014.
Yep.
The Sun's Tirade, both of those albums, I say, like Isaiah Rashad, for me, while he is like an instant click, it's more of like a slow burn. Like the longer, the more time that goes, the more I really enjoy the albums. Especially with the Sun's Tirade. I think Sylvia Demo had a few songs where it was like I instantly, my Brad Jordan, my R&B Kevin Miller. I had certain songs I was just like, oh my god, no, that's the guy. But the project as a whole was like kind of a slow burn. This project is the exception. This project is different. It feels like a continuation of the stories that he's been telling on his previous albums, because as I go back and I listen to Sylvia Demo and the Sun's Tirade, you hear bits and pieces of what you're talking about, fragmented, even further, I think, in those albums, where like in between him talking about the usual, vices and things like that, he's also trying to say, like, I need help. My relationships aren't great. I can't trust people around me. I don't understand what's going on in my life. Like, this album, I feel, is that, but concentrated. Like he's everything you said is correct. It just feels like he's coming around. He's like over the hump. He's been going through a lot of things in his life, as we all do, and he's starting to come to terms with it, be okay. Like he's at the acceptance part, of the steps, where it's just like, this is my life. I'm doing what I can to make myself out of it, and I'm making the best out of what I have, and I'm gonna be okay with that. Exactly what you said. The album ends in a place of like, it's still unknown, what's gonna happen, what I'm gonna go through, but I know that I'm gonna be all right. Right. I trust that I'm gonna be all right.
Right.
Yeah.
And just the feeling of that throughout this entire album. I mean, especially in the place that I've been in the past few years, not in the best place when it comes to mental health, and it's amazing to see artists, like, especially as they get older, kind of go into that territory and be more honest and open about, like, my life is kind of messed up. I don't have all the answers, and kind of wrestle with it in the music instead of trying to, like, sometimes I see when artists, when all they are talking about sometimes is the money and the clothes and like, I get that, there's a time and a place, and I enjoy it, but I think sometimes we shy away from really digging deeper. And this album, I think, is the closest that he's gotten to that process. And it's just, it was amazing to listen to. It's got a great mix. It's just like it's fragmented in that, like, it's a lot of different styles there.
The R&B stuff with SZA and Black.
Yeah, he goes a lot of different places with it.
The traditional Memphis sound. Tennessee sound. Sorry, Memphis. Amazing album. Really, really good. Yeah.
I guess I'm the weird one in the group.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, so over time, I've always been the same way with Zay, where it's like, as soon as I put it on, I'm never just immediately like, boom, I get it all the way. Because there's, especially as I get older, like my first few listens, I'm gonna hate it. Just no matter the album, it could literally, like, To Pimp a Butterfly could drop today, and I'd still sit there and be like, I don't get it on the first few times. Like that's just how it works. Even though now I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, whatever, greatest hip hop album in the past 10 years. Even something that point, that happens. And I'll tell you why I'm still really weird on this album. It's just the first 4 tracks. Dark Side is dope, with the exception of that. The first track, incredible, and the third one is, I think, R.I.P. Young. Yeah. Those are dope, but I can't stand From the Garden.
Come on, bust it. Come on, bust it.
That's the exact.
I want to follow that.
That's the exact.
Is it? So you don't like the song, period, or do you feel like it doesn't fit in?
There is something. It's not that it doesn't fit in. It's just there's something about it I don't like, and I think I figured it out.
Oh, let's go. Is it
because a friend of mine, I'm gonna shout out a friend, okay?
Okay, go.
My friend Tevin, and you'll be watching this. I've known him since we were kids. I'm gonna send him the link. But he was before this album came out, because he's like biggest Zay fan I know, easily. He was sending me like all the snippets and stuff as they came along. There's like a million snippets that he sent me, but there was one for From the Garden. The first time he showed it on, like, I think it was like IG Live or something, and it had a completely different beat. And there's an actual story behind this. I don't know if y'all know it, and some people might not. But pretty much the original beat got lost. And the original beat is like super mellow and has like this crazy psychedelic sample and everything. And then when I listen to the new version, the new beat literally sounds like an Uzi beat.
We were talking in the car when we were listening to the second version of Find a Topic off of the Sunstone Rig.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know, maybe you feel it this way.
Yeah.
When I hear a song, like the first version of a song is usually the version that I stick to.
Yeah.
And then if I hear it different later, like not if it's a remix, but like if it's
a completely different mix or something.
If the beat, something about I just don't like it usually.
Yeah. That's me like 99% of the time.
I remember you had that problem also when it came to The Life of Pablo.
Yes.
Kanye, where you would continuously take the album back.
It wasn't the add-in songs, it was changing little things in each song where I was just like, I noticed that, okay, you added a little, you know, you added some vocal fill here, okay, you put a little extra effect, okay, Chance has an extra, it bothers me a little bit. So that would bother me too. If I had heard the older version, I would probably
It's not even just like because of the older version.
It's because it sounds like Uzi.
It's just because like that track literally sounds like something off of Eternal Atake or something.
Yeah,
it literally sounds like an Uzi beat, especially the sample. And the weird thing is when Delay With Your video came out, and at the end of it, obviously, it has a snippet of the first verse. I thought that shit was hard. I was like, all right, I can't wait for that to come out, because Zay's putting out hype shit. Like, that's weird for Zay. And then the sample came in, and I was like, this doesn't feel the beat. Like, just from a producer standpoint, I don't like beats like that. Just personally.
Okay.
I don't want to say like extremely over the top with like all types of crazy shit. You don't have to be LP. Not every producer is meant to do that, okay? And Zay, I don't know how Zay would flow over an LP beat, so you know, whatever. But it didn't feel like a Zay song. Like, I literally feel like they made the beat for Uzi, and then they lost that file, and they're like, hey, can we get that beat back for Zay? Like, that's just how it felt to me.
I can see that. I think From the Garden sticks out on the album. I don't not like it. I think it's a good song, but I think it's a pump fake, especially with what comes next.
Really weird. Especially right after Dark Side, because I feel like, I'm not sure if it's Dark Side or Dark Seed.
No, it's Dark Side.
Dark Seed's like so chill and just super, like a really nice intro. It's just a great intro.
And then he come out bussing. Like immediately on the next song.
Like 15 times.
Whoa, wait.
He came out bussing like 15 times within 10 seconds.
Came out, but see, I love that about that track though.
And like, it could grow on me. It could. But it's just one of those things. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You're good, because I think we had this conversation earlier. Me and him did, and I told him in the beginning there's only 2 songs I really didn't like off of this LP. Right. From the Garden was one of them.
Yep.
And it took a while for that song to really grow on me, because at the end of the day, for me, I kind of justify it like I kind of justify this entire album. Everybody has different shades of themselves.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Yep.
Like, there'll be times where I'm going to be sitting there and I'm going to be listening to nothing but Fluids.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
I won't listen to anything else but Fluids.
Trust me, I have those days.
But the next day, Chief Sosa will be blasting from the very same speakers, and I'm going to be cutting the buck the rest of the day to Chief Sosa. Or maybe I'm being like, you know what, I'm in a strictly for my niggas mood, or I'm in an all eyes on me mood, which is that album is starting to grow on me a little bit more. This
Yeah,
two
we've had a lot of conversations
this
about that
two
album.
still suck. I still give all the smoke to this too, book 2, but book 1 is really starting to grow. But I digress. Everybody has different shades of themselves. Everybody has different personality traits. We're all not one-dimensional. You see what I mean? And for me, I justify From the Garden as that type of thing, right? Because I always, and yet again, I kind of like take music, like I take different forms of art, and I kind of like relate it to myself. Yeah. You see what I mean? And I really like doing that. And for me, when it comes to the Garden, I feel like, yet and still, like, I'll listen to Randy Travis. Yeah. But do not think if you go like ride with the mob or do I lie, or you know, don't think I ain't gonna know what that means, right? Or slob on my knob. Yeah. Pardon me. Right? So to me, it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? It's like I'm seeing every possible side of Isaiah Rashad that I possibly can in this album, right? And to me, yet and still, like, it feels like they're different snapshots, but they're taken all by the same photographer. And that's what gives it its consistency. And I love From the Garden for that. And Uzi Vert feels like the voice in the back of his head telling him to do the doofus jokes. Like, do that, man. Slap her on the edge. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Put the ball across the room.
Right. That's what Uzi Vert feels. That's how he feels. And I'm like, I love it for that, you know? So it's still, what was it? The one with J-Rock on it. J-Rock was the only thing, especially for the multiple times, and I told Jay how many times I listened to this album. I will not say it out loud because I am very ashamed.
I've done 5, so if it makes you feel better.
68. I
mouthed it.
68th listen, I started liking it.
Exactly.
But
I tried to look up the song, the name of the song with J-Rock on it.
Well, if you know the name of the song, please leave it in the comments section below.
I mean, we'll look it up right after this.
But it's that song that I don't necessarily care for, because at the end of the day, the beat feels so uninspired. It's literally monotonous and repetitive.
I'm gonna go off camera. You don't need me. You don't need me here. I was just gonna say, you don't need me here. You don't need me here because I'm just a mirror image of Nick.
It feels so uninspired. It feels so like the producer went to college and on his first day,
bruh, chill.
Hey, it's just kind of like,
you ain't gotta do all that.
You ain't gotta do Full Sail University.
That's what it feels like.
And the rest is my least favorite song.
And the rest of it, though, because especially when you look at the rest of the track listing and how beautiful those the production for the rest of that album is, whether we're talking about something like Headshots, right? Or if you're talking about more ignorant stuff like From the Garden or Lay With You, it's even pales in comparison to those. You see what I mean? And then keep in mind, you still have to deal with like Score, right? Or The Closer, HB2U, or The House Is Burning. You see what I mean? Like, it's weird that they would stick that beat right there in the middle of the track listing, right? J-Rock is one of the is probably one of the only few shining jewels on that track. That track feels very lackluster and very dull, almost gray. In what was a very colorful palette that is that album. You see what I mean? Absolutely. And with multiple different listens. True story. True story.
That's what it is. True story. Sorry about that.
I can't. That's the only thing that I can't do with this album.
Some J-Rock slander right now.
I said J-Rock. We said J-Rock was good on that track. We said it was good. So there was no slander, really, if we're being honest. You know what I mean?
And if you wanna go back to the Sun's Tirade, if you wanna go to Sylvia Demo, because there's a J-Rock song on every album.
Right.
It's not Shot You Down.
And
it's not
Titty and Dollar.
It's not Titty and Dollar.
One of my favorite tracks I've ever done.
Exactly. It's just gonna be bitches.
But I love you most. Yeah, that's just saying.
It's not that.
It's not.
But again, like it's.
But he sounded.
Oh, he floated.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
it's the production.
I know what you're saying. I'm not saying y'all out here slandering him. I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm shocked. That's the track, though.
You might be.
I'm
shocked. That's the track, though. I'm just shocked that's the track y'all didn't like.
It's just I agree with Nick. It's just a little like Isaiah Rashad already has this kind of like woozy, kind of hazy vibe to him, and that song is almost like too much. It's the beat doesn't do. It's just and it just just goes back and forth like that for 4 minutes. If it was like maybe
I can't
one
say
modulation,
a little shorter, or had a little something different in the beat.
Yeah, because
it's a sample that's not doing it.
That is a gripe on this album. Producers, y'all really got to stop just doing the same sample for 4 minutes. Do something, please. This is just a general thing. At least flip it at some point. Do something, please. Because I'm tired of y'all coming up with 20 seconds of greatness and then just repeating it
Just looping it for
over and over. Like, it's cool for like 2 minutes. I can't go past that.
To be fair, I think True Story is like the one sore spot where that's an issue. Like they do. I mean, obviously they sample a lot throughout the album, but like it's tasteful. It's not like just that one thing.
Most everything.
5 minutes.
And the track, and a lot of the tracks, especially if you're talking about like R.I.P. Young, or one of my favorite tracks, also Hey Mister. Hey Mister doesn't touch the 3-minute mark. Hey Mister's like what, 2 minutes and like maybe 30-something seconds,
which
and that's
is
about
weird.
it.
Yeah, like Zay, that's really weird.
They get in and they get out, and then
Exactly.
also I like the way that sometimes, I mean, even in like R.I.P. Young, the way that they use the samples to make it sound like little snippets, like an intro into Zay's mind. You know, like this is what he's listening to.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy.
I like when they do that.
Yeah, because it was like almost like the bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so well done. I'm like, okay, yeah, you went from that to that. That's really cool. I'm shocked that was the track, though. I'm shocked that's the track. That you didn't like.
True Story is the one.
Because I had 2 tracks I didn't like, and it was
that's
Garden and 9-3 Freestyle.
What?
I did not care for 9-3.
What? You didn't like what?
I didn't like it.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
I'm beat weird one out.
Hey, no, that's okay.
But like the way y'all feel about the True Story beat is how I felt with that. That's honestly how I felt, and it's weird.
I can see it.
It's weird because look, I like ignorant shit. Okay,
Right.
Look.
Okay.
I know every track I don't like is kind of ignorant. Okay, especially with the first line of that song, because that's some ignorant ass shit. I'm not gonna lie. If you mention your dick in the first line of the song, I'm already just like, all right,
oh wow,
that's what we're doing. You know?
He sets the tone early. You know what
exactly.
you're in for.
I know what I'm in for.
You get that B+, you're gonna get that Prius. You know.
I like ignorant shit, but the beat has to just be like so memorable.
Yes.
And I just can't remember that beat. I really can't.
I think we get caught up. I mean, Isaiah, because he goes nuts.
Yeah,
Especially
Zay does fine.
He does a lot
Zay
on
does
top
fine.
of the beat that makes you go like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. That's the thing. Like midway through it, I started like like the whole intro,
the beginning is especially it comes
Very
you
skeletal.
know, just I'm good.
okay.
Okay.
So
But that's just me. You
So
know?
we talked about tracks that we don't necessarily care for. But before we wrap this up, like, what is everybody's favorite track though? Like, if
Can we
if
not include
somebody,
headshots? Can we not include headshots just because that song is song of the year? Please.
okay.
Because like it's unfair.
Okay.
That song
All
is
right.
unfair.
All right. That's fine. All right.
At least do a couple tracks.
All right. Aside from
headshots and
okay. All right. So aside from headshots,
Yeah.
favorite tracks from the album. Like if you were trying to do
Claymore. I thought Smino.
we did not talk about Smino enough. You were
I thought
100% right.
Smino. I've been waiting for it the whole time. Smino killed.
Absolutely
Yes.
did. Absolutely did.
Smino went fucking crazy on that.
Yes.
If you don't know Smino at this point, go listen to Smino.
Listen,
Go listen
we
to
got
Saba. Go listen to that whole scene.
Woo!
That whole scene is nice.
Smino killed
Smino.
his part. I love
He brought me back into the album.
his mix of
The
like,
first few listens. Of
I get that because what was it? It was Lay With You, and then it was Claymore,
Claymore,
right?
yeah.
Claymore kind of brings you back into the mood.
Yeah,
and setting
yeah.
with the rest of the album. I like Smino just has this really good balance of like rapping and singing that I think is just perfect for him. He's so
it's
good.
like
'Cause he
elite levels,
flowing.
dude. It's elite levels and like the little intricacies, especially like when he starts going faster, where he'll just like lighten his voice for a second, bring it back in the mix and everything. Like it's expert level shit.
Like he'll repeat
How do you do
cadence.
it?
He'll repeat a cadence and repeat certain words, but then like change things. The next time he
Yeah,
says
and change
it,
like how hard he says it. Yeah.
Smino is my favorite song on this album, besides Headshots, obviously.
Yeah.
As we
Yeah.
said, is What You Said. That's another song that we did not spend nearly enough time talking about in this review, and I'm gonna keep it short because I can talk about it for another hour. Isaiah Rashad don't have a whole lot of just straight up bops. I think like you got something like Isaiah Rashad is the little joker you play. Like when you play it, you put the aux cord, you play Isaiah Rashad.
Yeah.
You got a few people in the car like, oh, I see you, you know, but like everybody's
smoke
not
a little
super,
bit?
exactly. Like but
you
everybody's
good.
not super hip. What You Said, I think, is the closest we gonna get to like, oh, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Like that song is made for exactly what the music video is, the pool parties, the club, and I mean
so
it is so.
And Deutsche,
Yes, bro.
and TDE, y'all pick her up.
That's the verse of the year right there. She
killed that verse.
oh my god.
And I hate to say it,
the singing, the ad libs, the cadence, all of it. Deutsche killed her verse. It was
I'll
ridiculous.
say it was better than SZA.
Yeah, well, we didn't have to do that.
Wait
Oh,
a
wait,
I'll
wait,
say
wait.
it.
I look.
I'm gonna
I ain't
get
trying
some
to-
comments.
Wait a minute.
Hey, look.
Time out.
I love SZA. Don't get fucked up, YouTube. I love SZA.
Wait a minute.
But Deutsche fucking
Wait a
killed
minute.
it.
I ain't even trying to compare the two.
I can't
feel
walk away from
attacked.
this.
Because
that was probably gonna be your song.
oh, dude, I had the score and
Oh, the score's killer.
Oh, the score is just
It's
amazing.
killer.
It's that to hear him sing. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And actually create a song.
Yeah. It was
You see what I
nice.
mean? With
It was nice.
beautiful melodies, right? And then on top of that, being able to seamlessly introduce Black and SZA and almost use them as different color brushes in each hand. You
Okay.
see what I mean? I'm like, I love the sonic texture that is Score. Score is amazing. Everything about him screams me. And I gave him, and this is how it ended.
Yeah.
This is how it ended. I told him something in the car, and I'm gonna tell you as well, right? And it made
like
him
being
scratch his
spitty.
head, but I mean every word that I say, and this is not a hot take.
No.
Isaiah Rashad is my favorite artist from TDE. It's not Kendrick, it's not SZA, although I love SZA, and I love Kendrick. Release an album. I love Schoolboy, man. I love J-Rock, man. There's something about Zay.
He feels very personal.
Right. Like
That's
I
the
can
thing.
see the cracks in Zay. You see what I mean? And it kind of and it reminds me of the things that I'm not perfect with, right? And then on top of that, especially when it comes to this album, that I can make peace with those things. You see what I mean? And not only can I make peace with those things, I can walk away with those things as they're burning away to look past it and look forward and have hope that I'll get better. You see what I mean? And this album summarizes that for me. You see what I mean? And when it came to almost the cries for help on the son's tirade, right? And the anger and the frustration and the confusion and the paranoia littered throughout that album, man. Zay feels personal. Zay feels fun. But also there's a peace that comes about him though. Like even when he's like mad and almost to the point of hyperventilating on Park. You see what I mean? Like nigga,
Park is still.
dude, mama, I
visceral,
knew
bro.
I was
It's
about it.
visceral.
Way
Like,
before
baby,
Venue
you
was
was
crowded. Way before Reverend listen.
Bruh.
Listen. Zay is my favorite.
Yeah.
Zay is my favorite. Like if I ever met Zay, I feel like I would relate more to him than I would do to a Kendrick. You see what I mean? Like, if, I feel like Kendrick would start like reciting poems at me.
Yo, this is his own fault. This is crazy. Kendrick has tracked himself in like this.
It's like he would start hitting me with some like
Wow.
Shakespeare or some other stuff. And he'll be like, "So what you really need to do is you need to understand." Like he overananciates. It's kind of
This is wild.
you know what I mean? And I'll be like, and I would just be sitting looking at Kendrick like.
Wow. You're like, okay.
That's some cool shit, bro.
Yeah.
That's cool,
Your eyes and
Yeah, like glazed over. Like all the knowledge he's trying to drop on me. It feels like Zay would sit right here on the seat next to me and be like, "What up, dude?"
He just look at me and be like, I was tripping, you was tripping, hold the patty.
I'd be like, "Listen!" I'm like, "All right, let's go." And he'll feel like he would go try and get a burger with me afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Zay my dude, man.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Zay's my dude.
Zay's definitely most relatable. In the whole-
Be
yeah,
honest,
whole
and I
story.
think that's why people stand for him so
Yeah.
hard. I'll raise my hand and be like, "I'm one of them."
Yeah. I mean,
They
same.
They stand for him so hard. They gave him so much smoke because it's like, yo, man, you can't drop Sylvia. You can't drop the son's tirade. You can't give us like little freestyles here and there and be like, "I'm good."
Exactly.
I mean, you can't get on
people are
IG
begging
Live.
for this.
Right.
Exactly.
You can't get on IG Live and then be like, snippet of headshots.
Yeah.
And then think you're going to come out on stage. It doesn't work that way.
And it was
Like,
so long. It was such a long
It was like a year and a half away from like Headshots came out in like early 2020. There was From the Garden came out years before that. Like this has been a slow trickle, slow burn.
I feel like he's if I was to compare like TDE to any group, the way Zay is reminds me of like Frank Ocean in a lot of ways, where it's just like he just not in music, obviously. They sound completely different. But and just the way that like he just does whatever
Like the
he
mystery
wants.
around him. Yeah.
You'd never see him anywhere. He's not out at some club and getting big press for it and everything else. He's just like, yeah, I go home, pay my taxes, go to sleep. Kind of like Vince Staples in that way.
Yeah.
Except at least Vince
Yeah.
does interviews. But
Right,
like,
right.
The greatest quote I heard from him was just like, yeah, just go home, pay my taxes, and relax. I don't do nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I just vibe. That's what I think of them.
I think the only thing is, and yet again, we can end it on this as well. I know this is like the third time I said it.
This is how we always do.
Right.
It's never the first time you say when you end. That's not when you end.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, and this is supposed to be a compliment, but at the same time, I also want it to be a little bit cautionary.
Yeah.
TDE, so far as the cultural relevancy is concerned, reminds me of Death Row. You see what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when you look at TDE, the roster is ridiculous. And it's almost untouchable. You see what I mean? And then when you look at Death Row back in their heyday, who was really going to touch Snoop, Dre, Pac? You know what I mean?
The closest thing we have was like Bad Boy, and even then they
had
weren't that. The highlights and then everything
else. You see what I mean? But they weren't that, and they weren't that consistently.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But the thing when it came to Death Row is, due to a lot of personal strife, due to a lot of shady stuff going on behind the scenes.
A couple shady things.
Quite
a few, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
But they kind of faded away. You know what I mean? And for me, what I get concerned about with TDE is the fact that they are taking their time releasing these albums like that, right? And there's so much time that goes between an Isaiah Rashad album, so much time that's going between Kendrick albums, so much time going between SZA albums. You see what I mean? And now ain't no telling we'll probably get a Schoolboy Q album again. You see what I mean? So with that in mind, if you're taking that much time, I just don't want it to get to a point where it's just kind of like nobody's checking for you anymore because the next big thing has come along.
Yeah.
You see what I mean, right? And you're kind of like, oh, I remember SZA. You know what I mean? Because I still haven't heard Hide a Hair of another single outside of what we were talking about earlier. Hit different.
Yeah.
I think we can reliably say that. Like I understand that caution for sure. I don't think TDE is anywhere near that point yet. Though.
Okay.
I think they need a few more. If we had a few more years of silence, or like one album every couple of years, maybe it's time to start talking about this in like 2024. I feel like they still, when they do drop, most of the time the music is of such quality that it justifies the wait. You know, like it's been 5 years between The Sun's Tirade and The House is Burning.
Right.
Yeah. I think that time in the oven was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just, I understand where you, honestly, give me more. Give us, Kendrick, where are you?
Please. Well, SZA, where are you? Please.
Yeah. With TDE, it's really interesting the fact that like the OG crew, of course, so you have like the Black Hippie crew, and then Zay was like the last one of like
that new era.
That new era of it, yeah. And yeah, they've been signing new artists, but like none of them feel as integrated as those five, and they probably shouldn't. To be fair, if you randomly threw Reason in with Black Hippie, it'd be weird.
Yeah,
like, it really would be.
Too.
And Reason's nice, but you know they haven't been through what those guys went through. Like.
They're like,
for example, like
insulated crew within the crew.
Like the end of Duckworth, where you just sit there, you're like, yeah, Kendrick literally could have not had a dad if it wasn't for Top, you know, feeling good for him because he gave him extra biscuits. Like, and they literally were like, what, basically sleeping on Top's couch at one point and everything, like
sharing value meals, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. So now they have so much money now from all the good albums that it's a lot different than it was then. Like. Even you can see it in modern groups like Griselda, for example. Like Griselda used to drop literally like 20 albums a year.
Would drop like 3 albums. Each artist would drop 3 albums.
And it was like unleveled amounts of just hustle.
Yeah,
like, I've never seen a run like that.
And it's paying off now.
And now after everything, West Side's like, you know, I might take a little step back. It's like my next album might be, you know, it for a little while. And I understand that, but if you take like 5-6 years, there's always the concern of your brand is falling. But like, for example, when it was announced that Zay was the one dropping the single, this is when Lay With You was coming out. They did a thing in LA where like they had all the TDE trucks and everything, and they looked badass. Okay, like the back of the trucks had like LED lights and everything that said TDE. It was cool. When Zay went on stage, people were pissed because like we thought it was gonna be Kendrick. Like, and everyone was pissed that it was Zay dropping. I'm just like, y'all are disrespectful as fuck. Because Kendrick is here. Okay, I get it.
You know what?
But
I get it.
But y'all just can't do my boy Zay like that.
To y'all's point, that is part of the problem because they take so long to release stuff.
Yeah.
They tend to step on each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, this isn't what I wanted. It's like, but this is Isaiah Rashad. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
It's
I get that. I get that.
It's kind of similar to Dreamville, where it's like, let's say JID was putting out a single, and they did like the surprise thing like TDE did, because TDE kind of does the surprise thing a lot more than anyone else. And JID hit the stage. I'm sure there are people that be like, man, fuck this. I thought it was gonna be cold.
I want a cold. I
get
want an
that.
Earth Gang. They're like, yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it's cool. I get it, but
like JID is still JID. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
this is still Zay. Like
Absolutely.
Zay is a part of that crew.
I understand that.
And
And one of the centerpieces of it.
yeah, exactly. Like one of the best performing out of the whole crew too.
Right.
Okay, we're clearly going to talk for another 2 hours once
Yeah,
this
of course.
camera goes off.
Yeah.
I want to help you in your
Look, I
video.
just see you beat me to it, and I was going to cut it off, man.
Hey,
So you
my bad.
good, you good.
I'm always getting cut off.
Hey,
mean,
bro,
I didn't mean
man,
to.
we
My
might
first
cut
day, I'm
you
telling
off.
you,
You see how he be doing me?
My bad,
You see how he be doing? But
See him manhandling me? This is abuse.
that is our reviews, plural, of Isaiah Rashad's The House is Burning. You can listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify. We'll leave links for that down in the description below, as well as places where you can actually pick up some merch. Just be careful with the vinyl, because it's going to be a year.
I'll
wait.
get them eventually. But it's going to take a year and like a half.
Right.
So-
you know what I mean? So we'll leave links for that down in the description below. Aside from that, this has been Aftershock Reviews. Tell them who you are, man.
I am Jay Burritos.
Hey.
You can catch me on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, twitch.tv/Jay Burritos, or here on YouTube at youtube.com/Jay Burritos. It's my guy. Thank you for inviting me on.
No problem.
You,
man.
you
I
have,
got
you have
This
multiple
my dude.
burritos?
Yes.
You brought some with you?
No, I didn't
Oh,
bring.
shit,
I didn't bring any free samples. I'm
Well,
sorry. I
damn.
should. I came all the way out here. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna come out here next
I know what you actually mean by burrito, but we'll leave that.
And then speaking of this guy,
Yeah.
tell him one more time, what's your name, man?
My name's Tim. Just come out to my record store, and I have a Discogs page and everything. I'll send him the link.
What's the name
buy
of your
some
store?
records. B&T
What's the name
Music.
Yes, there it is, man.
And-
We out and where are we again?
Villa Record.
Run that. Heck
A
yes.
small city, but we got the best shit.
And then behind this camera is my man's with the master plan, 100 grand. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff.
Thank you, Matt.
Wash your hands, support your bands. Peace. Hey.